The mystery of the sealed mansion. A crime. Between the roar of the waves and the silence of the sand, the Tuesday night in Alexandria was anything but ordinary. Fierce winds blew in from the Mediterranean Sea as if carrying an omen of doom within them, shaking the windows of old houses and playing with the branches of ancient trees. In his quiet home in the Sidi Gaber district, Major Youssef Salem sat in his personal study contemplating the archives of his old cases, as was his habit when a feeling crept over him that something was about to happen. Youssef was a seasoned detective, past 50, but his eyes still gleamed with sharp intelligence and a rare ability to notice the finest details. His fame came from his capacity to solve the most intractable cases, those that turned into perplexing mysteries that baffled his colleagues. The sound of his landline phone wasn't surprising, but the tone of anxiety in the voice of his young assistant, Mahmoud, on the other end, made him sit up straight immediately. "Major, there's been a murder at the Al-Shafei mansion. It's very strange. The door was locked from the inside." Youssef didn't hesitate. He grabbed his coat and his gun and stepped out into the storm, his heart burdened by a strange feeling that this crime would not be like the others. The mansion of Hussein Al-Shafei was an architectural masterpiece standing tall on the edge of Sidi Bishr Beach, surrounded by a high wall and shaded by towering palm trees. Al-Shafei was a wealthy and mysterious businessman, rarely seen in public, with rumors about him conflicting between being a great philanthropist or a ruthless merchant. Upon Youssef's arrival, the guards had already cordoned off the area. While the young officer, Mahmoud, waited for him at the main door, his face pale from the horror of what he had seen. Youssef entered the luxurious study, where the body lay on the floor next to a desk made of expensive mahogany. Hussein Al-Shafei was wearing his pajamas and had suffered several fatal stab wounds to the chest and abdomen, while the expensive Persian rug was stained with blood. There were no obvious signs of a break-in. The French glass windows were shut tight and the heavy wooden door had been locked from the inside when the police arrived, making the crime seem like a miracle given the lack of an exit for the killer. The first person Youssef interrogated was Imran Al-Kilani, the deceased's right-hand man and personal business manager. A man in his 40s, elegant in appearance, but his features bearing signs of tension and fatigue. He had been in his private quarters on the upper floor at the time of the crime, according to his account. He was engrossed in preparing important paperwork for the morning meeting and had heard nothing but the sound of the storm and the roar of the sea. But Youssef noticed how his hands trembled slightly as he lit his cigarette, and how he avoided direct eye contact with the spot where the body lay. As for Layla Al-Shafei, the victim's young wife, who was no more than 25 springs old, she was in her adjacent bedroom. Youssef entered to find her sitting on the edge of the bed, trying to hold herself together while silent tears streamed down her pale cheeks. She told him how she had heard her husband's muffled screams just before midnight, and when she rushed to his study, she found the door locked. When she pushed it open with force, she found only his blood-stained body. But Youssef's intuition told him there was something incomplete about her story. Then he noticed a strange silver bracelet on her left wrist, engraved with an ancient pharaonic symbol, but he chose not to inquire about it at that moment. Youssef began to examine the crime scene with meticulous precision, his eyes missing no detail. Under the beam of his flashlight, he noticed something strange near the victim's foot, a small pile of fine sand scattered as if it had fallen from someone's shoe. He also noticed that the large grandfather clock had stopped exactly at 1 o'clock in the morning, while his personal wristwatch showed the time was now 2:30. The timing matched the initial estimate of the time of death given by the forensic doctor. Youssef asked the forensic team to focus on analyzing the sand sample, while he continued questioning the mansion's staff. An old servant named Saeed, who had worked for the family for 30 years, mentioned in passing that Al-Shafei would go out almost every night around midnight to visit the private beach adjacent to the mansion, and would sometimes return before dawn, God willing. Hours later, the preliminary results from the forensic lab revealed an astonishing surprise. The sand found was very rare, and its analysis indicated it could only be found in one specific location in all of Alexandria, the private beach of Sidi Bishr, which was considered a closed area to the public, with access permitted only to a select few individuals. Youssef returned to the mansion with renewed fervor and gathered the main suspects, Imran and Layla. But this time, he didn't ask about the details of the crime directly. Instead, he circled around the relationship between Al-Shafei and that beach. Imran became flustered and agitated, saying he only knew that Al-Shafei donated money to the beach as part of his charitable work. But Layla, in a hesitant, soft voice, said, "My husband. He would go out every night at this exact time. I thought he went to the beach to contemplate the sea as he once told me, but I noticed he was meeting a man there." Youssef asked her about the man's identity, but she didn't know, though she described a shiny wristwatch the man wore. Youssef, along with a number of his men, rushed to the private beach, where they found a small wooden hut that served as the beach management office. Inside sat Ahmed, the old beach guard who had worked there for 40 years. The man seemed visibly nervous when he saw the police officers. He tried to act natural, but his eyes betrayed him. Youssef asked him about Al-Shafei's connection to the beach, and he denied any connection beyond donations. But when Youssef asked him directly about the sand found in the mansion, Ahmed became even more flustered. At that moment, Youssef's sharp eyes caught sight of an old gold wristwatch on Ahmed's arm. It had stopped exactly at 1 o'clock in the morning, the same time as the stopped clock in the mansion and the same time as the crime. There was no longer any room for denial. Under psychological pressure, Ahmed broke down and began to sob, then started confessing to the bitter truth. He revealed that Al-Shafei was not the philanthropist everyone thought him to be. Rather, he had years ago forcibly seized land belonging to Ahmed's family after entrapping his father in significant debt. The nightly meetings on the beach were desperate attempts by Ahmed to appeal to Al-Shafei's mercy and persuade him to return the land. But the latter would mock him and threaten him. That night, after Ahmed had despaired of justice, he decided to take revenge himself. He knew of an abandoned secret passage connecting the beach to the mansion cellars, known only to the old workers. He sneaked through it into the mansion and confronted Al-Shafei in his study, where a violent struggle ensued, ending with Al-Shafei being stabbed multiple fatal times. In the darkness of the room and in his dazed state, Ahmed did unnotice that a handful of sand from the beach had stuck to his shoe and fallen to the floor. Also, his watch had broken during the struggle and stopped at the exact time of the crime. He thought these coincidences would go unnoticed, but he didn't know there was an eye that missed nothing. Youssef arrested Ahmed, thus closing one of the most mysterious cases in his career. But even after the case was closed, one thing continued to puzzle Youssef: that strange silver bracelet on Layla's wrist. Subsequent investigations revealed it had been a gift from Ahmed to Layla years before, when they were secretly dating before her family forced her to marry the wealthy Al-Shafei. Layla had known the whole truth, but her silence had been her quiet revenge on the man who destroyed her love and her innocent guard's family life. And so, as the waves of Alexandria broke against the rocks as usual, Youssef Salem sat in his office once again, more convinced than ever that no crime is perfect, and that the truth always leaves a trace behind, even if it's just a handful of sand. If you liked this video, please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought. We also have a lot more content for you to enjoy, so please don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel. Thanks for watching.